Hey everyone, welcome to the RotoGrinders Morning Grind podcast. I'm your host, Stevietpfl. It's Friday. It's November 29th. It is 2024. We have a nice little 7-game NBA slate on this Friday to break down here. NBA Cup Day, which we love. Joined as always here on Fridays by my good buddy, Will Priester, ChiefJustice06. Chief, it's technically Thursday night. It's Thanksgiving night. We're still grinding, my friend. Appreciate you wanting to do the podcast with me still. Hope everyone had a fantastic Thanksgiving. And yeah, man, what's happening?
Yeah, doing good, man. I did play some DFS today. I did, hop in the prop streets a little bit, but I went pretty light. I didn't go heavy. I was traveling. We went to my wife's side of the family and hung out with them and had a great time and came back. My girls were with me this weekend. So I didn't go, all the way in now, for this slate. Hey, buddy, we're going in. But like I said, hopefully everybody had a good Thanksgiving and hopefully we can help them make a little money on this slate coming up.
Yeah, I mean, I was telling Will before the podcast that I have some NFL sweats. So if I'm a little distracted during the podcast, I apologize ahead of time. My main NFL team on DraftKings is like sitting at 148 with Tyreek, Jonnu, and Reed going. So man, if Tyreek can do anything in the second half of this game, I could have a really, really good Thanksgiving slate. Hit a really good single game parlay in the Detroit game. So my betting day was paid for after the first game. So I'm not paying attention as much to bets as I am watching this DFS team. So we got an NBA Cup slate, and I mean, I get so excited for these slates. It's all day basketball too. So there's the Knicks and the Hornets are playing at like noon tomorrow. We got the Cavs and the Hawks. Like, we have important games throughout the day on top
and there's
of these
a football
games.
game tomorrow.
And there's a football game. I mean, it's a sports type of day, which we love sports. So
college football will be going to
yeah.
Yeah.
Lot of stuff to talk about. Let's jump in. I mean, I think that's the best way to kind of handle it is just let's jump in. We get started with Orlando at Brooklyn. I was a little surprised. So no back-to-backs because everybody was off for Thanksgiving. So no back-to-backs. I tweeted this out on Wednesday night. I was watching the Magic game. Really thought that Franz Wagner sprained his ankle. He landed on another ankle, and you just saw the ankle roll. I was shocked to not see him on the injury report for this game. Orlando's in a really good spot if they win this game as far as making the next round of the NBA Cup, so I think this is an important game for them. But we're currently at a 209.5 total. Orlando's an 8.5-point favorite. Paulo's out. Gary Harris is out. And then on the Brooklyn side, Bogdanovich is out. Claxton's questionable. Clowney's out. Finney-Smith is questionable. Cam Johnson is questionable. Schroeder is out. Sharp is out. Thomas is out. Jalen Wilson is questionable. So we'll go to Orlando here first. Going into Brooklyn, Brooklyn's missing a lot of pieces. Kind of expect the Magic to handle this game even on the road. I'm a little concerned about the Franz Wagner ankle. I watched it live. I mean, you and I both played sports growing up, landed on many ankles, missed many days after that. It's painful. He was in a lot of pain. He tried to play through it. Didn't have to come back out. Wendell Carter returned and played 18 minutes. They kind of told us that he was going to play 16 to 18 minutes. Maybe he plays 22 minutes in this game. What do you like here for Orlando?
Well, Jalen Suggs mysteriously had another big game, Stevie. And, of course, it was against the Chicago Bulls, which makes all the sense in the world.
All the sense. KCP absolutely went bonkers the other night. Just so everyone knows, I was watching that game. That was a classic KCP game. Man, those days were fun.
Yeah, I mean, but once again, Stevie, I can't express enough. These Chicago Bulls, Memphis, Atlanta, Washington, those games are just gold mines. Now, this Brooklyn situation probably gets a bit more interesting because of all the injuries. But I've kind of talked about the fact that KCP at 4K, you get him in the right spot, I think he's fine. I'm okay with Suggs. I think I use some caution with Franz here, Stevie, because of the price tag. But I think I'm in on Jonathan Isaac. I don't know if people have realized his minutes are now, I could be wrong, but they seem now to be stable in the low 20s. So like 22 minutes. Jonathan Isaac, 22 minutes worth of Jonathan Isaac, I think is worth it at that price, especially if Franz is like happens to sit or they try to limit him a little bit. If the game gets out of hand in him, maybe he could play 2 or 3 extra minutes. So I do like him.
Yeah, I mean, Isaac's role is fantastic right now. His upside with the stocks is just incredibly high. You know, we talk about it all the time. We've been on this. I mean, I've been talking about Jonathan Isaac for a week and a half now, almost 2 weeks, I feel like. And this is an NBA Cup game. I mean, Orlando wants to win this game. They're in a great spot right now where they're at point differential and everything. So the Magic are absolutely rolling as a team right now. I don't think I want to play Franz in this spot. I don't mind the Suggs call. Wendell Carter being back definitely limits the upside on Goga, in my opinion. Not really interested in playing a ton of pieces from this game. You know, this is a lower total, not a ton of pieces I like. Brooklyn side, though, I mean, Thomas, Schroeder out, Johnson, Claxton, and Finney-Smith questionable. Like, got to play something here. Ben Simmons, maybe. Zaire Williams at 4,900. Like, we have to play something. Shake Milton, depending on who's in and who's out. Like, we can't sit here and like talk about everything we're going to love for Brooklyn, because a lot of it's going to depend on Johnson, whether or not he plays or not. Because if Johnson plays, I mean, he would be a guy that I definitely would play here. But right now, I mean, it's Williams and Simmons is who I like the most in this spot, with the news that we have currently.
Yeah, I think if Cam Thomas sits, Shake Milton is kind of going to come into the category for me. I already think Ben Simmons at 5,300 is fine if those guys sit. To me, that just opens up extra peripherals for him. So I don't think he scores any extra. But Stevie, 1 extra steal or block, 2 more rebounds, 3 more assists. Like it doesn't seem like it. That's 10 fantasy points, like immediately. 10 extra fantasy points that are available to him just off that stuff alone. So I like that. Shake Milton, obviously, because of the price. And then you talked about it, Zaire Williams at 4,900. With all the people sitting, it feels like he should get at least 25 minutes in this spot, Stevie. So we're kind of starting right out of the gate. And then, if all these other guys sit, then Watford's going to be there available. So, Claxton's questionable. Once again, Steve, if he sits, there's just no center. Trendon Watford is going to have to play 25, 30 minutes in this game unless they attempt to go small. And Orlando plays big. They're going to play Mo Wagner. They're going to play Goga. They're going to play Wendell Carter Jr. I think Watford would be, I'm air quoting here, Steve, but I think he'd be safe, if you will. So I know there's some uncertainty, but I do think if these guys sit, Williams, Ben Simmons, Milton, Watford, I think they will be good plays, and they'll probably carry some ownership because I'm sure the projections will be good, even though we expect Orlando to kind of handle this game.
Tyrese Martin scored 30 actual points the other night. I saw a stat on Twitter that he had scored 33 points in his previous 21 games combined. Here's the thing, though, Will. He's 3K. Like, Schroeder played in that game.
Yeah, and
now we're like
Schroeder. We know for sure is out.
That's the
key to me. Yeah,
like Cam Thomas and Schroeder are out. Do they let this guy play 30 minutes again? I mean, he's minimum salary at 3K, and I mean, I was kind of looking at some of his advanced stats from that game. He had a 24% usage rate in that game. So I don't know. At 3K, I'm willing to take some shots. He doesn't come off the floor if Orlando blows out Brooklyn either, which, adds to a little bit of the floor at 3K. I can already tell you that I'll probably end up playing him. So,
yeah.
All right, we got Clippers. Yeah, Clippers at Timberwolves, 215.5 total here. Timberwolves a 5.5 point game or 5.5 point favorite. On the Clippers side, Kawhi remains out. Norman Powell's questionable. And then Joe Ingles is out on the Minnesota side. We'll go to the Clippers here first. I mean, Zubac's been playing awesome. Didn't really have to play a lot the other night. Just absolutely crushed in his 24 minutes against Washington. Gosh, I like Zubac in this matchup. If Norman Powell sits, Derek Jones Jr. has had an awesome role. He got in foul trouble against Washington, and then the game kind of got blown out. He's 3,700, another cheap play that I think we could potentially take some shots on. But I think this is a Zubac game.
Yeah, I'm not as thrilled about this game. I've written up some of these random Clippers players. And by random, I mean like the cheap guys like Coffee and Derek Jones Jr. I do think Derek Jones Jr. has an interesting role because I feel like his minutes are fairly stable. Like clearly the Washington game, we knew going in. I wrote up hard that day, but Chris Dunn is getting some minutes, but I don't think it's anything to write home about. I feel like the only people that are actually safe are Harden and Zubac. And I'm with you. I think Zubac would be the play between the two. I don't think I'm going to get to Harden today.
Other side, Minnesota side of this game, we know the ceiling that Anthony Edwards is capable of. 9,300. I mean, he's gone for at least 50 DraftKings points in 3 straight games. Obviously, I have an interest in him on any slate. I like him even more with it being an NBA Cup slate. I would say Minnesota probably out of the Cup, though. They are 1-2. So I think this game is way more important on the Clippers side than it is on the Minnesota side. What are your thoughts here on Minnesota?
Once again, I think this side is just okay. I think Naz Reid is fine at 4,700. Like he's had a much more stable role this year to me, Stevie, than in years past. And what I mean by that is we're not really playing the guessing game, right? Like we know he's going to play somewhere in the realm of 22 to 25 minutes. And we know his fantasy upside. And at that rate, I'm actually still interested. So I'm viewing him similar to Isaac, Stevie, where these are just guys that can rack up fantasy points in big bursts, even though they don't play 30 minutes a game. So wanted to mention Naz Reid. Outside of that, for me, I think it's just Edwards. I mean, man, it feels like we should be playing $4,600 Mike Conley when he's playing 30-plus minutes now. And I think I am, Stevie. I think he's another one that's going to go in that 4K pool for me today. But once again, he's just a pool play. Nothing I would be playing in single entry or 3-entry max.
All right, move on. We got Detroit at Indiana taking on the Pacers, 229 total. Get those 2 low totals to start, and then we get into some games that are really solid here. Pacers a 5.5 point favorite on this one. On the Detroit side, Cade Cunningham is questionable. Tobias Harris is questionable. And then on the Pacers side, Isaiah Jackson, Nembhard, Nesmith, Shepard, Wiseman out. We'll go to Detroit here first. Cade matters a lot in this game, whether or not he plays or if he doesn't play. Detroit still alive. They're 2-0. This is a big game. Pacers are 0-2. They don't really care as much about the NBA Cup. They're basically eliminated. They're not officially
Crazy
eliminated.
how this can flip, right? Like last year, Indiana goes to the finals. This year, they don't even get in at all, or borderline don't get it. It's crazy. Gotta love Cup, man.
Oh, I mean, it's great. Detroit, I mean, this is a big game for them. They stay very much alive with a win here. So, I mean, you're looking at this spot. Cunningham potentially out would matter a lot because I definitely want to play some Ivy. Jalen Duren, who knows what to do with that guy. But, I mean, Malik Beasley, they kind of got blown out in that Memphis game.
Yeah.
It was good to see Thompson play 20 minutes in that game. What are we doing with Detroit here?
For me, Steve, I think I'm going to start with Stewart, and it's just because he's 4,100. And yeah, the game the other night was weird, but he's another one of these big men, Stevie, that's in this 20 to 25 minute range, and Stevie, at one point he rattled off basically 3 games of 28 fantasy points or more in a row. Like, I'm interested at that price. He's 4,100. I can get him, at center and utility. I probably play him more utility, but still, I'm fine with it. You talked about Thompson coming back. I did think that was a big deal. Played 20 minutes too, and with Tobias Harris being questionable, this could open up a few minutes if he were to sit, and if Cade were to sit. You talked about Malik Beasley at 5,600. He's a guy that's just playing a lot of minutes and taking a fair amount of shots. Similar to Tim Hardaway Jr., he's going to be taking shots. I just don't think he has as much upside. And then obviously the obvious play is Jaden Ivey at 7K for sure.
Yeah, they just basically punted that game against Memphis. It was a 17-point game at halftime, and it was a 27-point game midway through the third quarter, and they just didn't really bring anybody back. I don't know if we're going to see a huge minute increase for Thompson with or without Harris, just because of like the blood clotting issue and like conditioning and back to like shape conditioning for him. So I think I would probably take shots on like a Fontecchio or a Sasser or a Holland, like those types of guys. But honestly, we have a lot of good potential value. So I think it's Jaden Ivey and probably like a Malik Beasley for me on Detroit. If Cade is out, if Cade plays, I would play Cade. I don't think they're going to bring Cade back if he's not ready to play 35 minutes. So I think if Cade plays, I would have interest in him.
I will say this, Steve, now that you mentioned it. If he came back today, it'd be a cup game. No way they're going to limit him in a cup game.
Yeah, you bring him back and you play him his full minutes, or you don't bring him back. Achane just scored a touchdown for anybody that's playing some Thursday night or some. Yeah, I guess it is Thursday night football, isn't it? Pacers side of this one, I don't know. Like, it's a cup game, but they don't care anymore. They're 0-2 in the cup. It's just a regular basketball game for them. What are your thoughts here on the Pacers?
So, listen, I keep wanting to play Halliburton. He's 8,500. And I'm with you, Steven. They don't care. The other team does, and maybe they're trying to play spoiler, but these games do count on their record. That is the other cool thing about the cup games, Stevie. They're record games until they get to that
final,
1 week
right?
stretch. Yeah.
Or the semifinal and final, yeah.
Yeah. So, hey, I guess they're playing for pride here. It's just an interesting spot, and I still feel like these guys are so cheap. Like Miles Turner at 65, I still think that's fairly cheap, Stevie, for the spot. Siakam at 72, that still feels cheap. So that's kind of why I keep wanting to gravitate towards some of these pieces, because some of the main guys feel underpriced.
Yeah, I like Mathurin. I think he's very playable. TJ McConnell is kind of losing that role to like Quentin Jackson. Jackson's played over 30 minutes in back-to-back games. I think you could potentially play Jackson at 4K over like a TJ McConnell. I think that's the guy that I would have interest in the spot, him and Mathurin. I don't like Siakam. He's going to have those games where he goes like 50. Like, it's just going to happen. Halliburton's going to have those games. He goes for 60, and like it's going to happen. I do like the fact that like Halliburton over the last few games has been shooting more. That offer, because he has 15 assists upside in any matchup. That's Halliburton's kind of MO. So if he's shooting more and you can get that like 25, 15, 7 game, you're off to the races with Halliburton. So I don't necessarily hate or love him in this spot. I end up in that price range, and I'm okay with like plugging him in more than anything else because I do think that raw points wise, Halliburton's always a good play. Raptors at Miami, 221.5 total here. Miami a 7-point favorite in this game. On the Raptor side, Bruce Brown, he's out. Grady Dick's out. Olynyk's out. Quickly's out. On the Miami side, looks like Kevin Love is questionable, but that's really the only thing. A lot of probable on this injury report for Miami. So I know that you're going to see like a Christmas tree of lights over there on DraftKings when you click Miami, but a lot of that is probable more than questionable. So on the Toronto side, now we're adding like Grady Dick out. That's another 30 minutes that has to kind of be filled here. You look at this and you're like, all right, it's an NBA Cup game. Toronto is officially eliminated. They don't care. Miami's 1-2. They don't care. This is a regular basketball game in November. That's what this is. This is not an NBA Cup game. This is a regular basketball game in November. I don't mind Barrett or Barnes, but I think we can get some value here with Jamison Battle potentially playing 20 to 25 minutes at 3,300. Abaji at 4,700, probably going over the 30-minute mark here now with Grady Dick out as well. I think that's where we're looking at Toronto instead of like paying up for these studs, because I think I want to pay up for the studs in games that matter more, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. And Stevie, our theory really hasn't led us astray, right? The first week, the first series of the Cup games, we said, hey, these teams probably extend these guys a little bit, and sure enough, Stevie, Cup games, everybody's playing, they're playing competitive. We're getting a playoff atmosphere as we've discussed in November. And this won't be that because, all they're playing for now is the end game. And so I'm not really thrilled about the Toronto guys, but I'm for sure with you on Agbaji. If those guys are out, like he should pick up extra minutes. I will say this, Scotty Barnes been last 3 games in a row, 24, 25, 27, Stevie, 45, 65, 44. He's the guy that has shown an ability to pick up some upside. And I'm not, once again, he's in a single entry player or anything like that, but I think if you're running 150, you could do a lot worse than Scotty Barnes at 8,500.
Miami side of this game, again, like I think this is just a regular basketball game. Miami is basically out. They're not officially eliminated, but they're basically out too. What are we doing with the Heat in this spot?
Well, I'm not thrilled about the Heat, man. Jimmy Butler obviously is going to be playing. They should have fairly spread out production. And as a result, man, I'm kind of out on Miami, unless we get a big name to sit. And at this present time, I don't see that happening.
It's kind of where I'm at. Miami is basically healthy, so Bayou, Butler, Hero, Rozier kind of run the offense. Usage is pretty spread out. They're a really good basketball team. Good matchup.
Yep.
I mean, if on paper, this is like one of the best matchups Bam is going to get. So, like, if I was going to tell you on paper who has the best matchup, I mean, Bam has one of the best matchups for all centers, not just in this game. So, I think if anything, maybe it's a spot you take a shot on Bam and hope he has that ceiling game. Toronto's allowing the second most fantasy points per game to opposing centers. They get blocked a lot. I was like looking at it earlier today. They get blocked by centers the most in the NBA too. So, yeah, I thought it was interesting too. So Bam's not a guy that typically will get like a ton of blocks, but we've seen him get 3 or 4 blocks in a game. So I think Bam at 8,300 has a ceiling. The matchup's really, really good for him. We're looking at it the night before. We'll see where kind of ends up projection wise, but night before he has a really good matchup. Boston at Chicago, 241.5 total. Boston, a 10-point favorite. This is my favorite game on the slate. No doubt. Like, the Boston side, no one really notable on the injury report. Chicago side, Jalen Smith sprained his ankle, so he's questionable. Terry got hurt and White got hurt. They all got hurt the other night in that game against Orlando. So a lot of potential value. Patrick Williams remains out. We'll go Boston here first. This game matters for both of these teams. This is a huge, huge game for the Cup for both teams. Chicago wins this game, they win Group C, right? I think that's the case. I could be wrong. I think Cleveland would still have a chance, but Chicago would be in the driver's seat if they win this game. Huge game, NBA Cup-wise. This is the game I have circled. This is the game I'm playing as many studs as I can, starting with Jaylen Brown, starting with Jason Tatum. I think this is an excellent spot, pace-up spot. And then I like White and Drew. They're really Drew is 5K in a pace-up NBA Cup game that matters a ton. So, a lot of interest this week, or a lot of interest on this slate in the Boston side.
Yeah, for sure. Because if Boston wins, Boston's now 3-1. Stevie Bulls will be 2-2, and then the Cavs are playing earlier that day.
Right, I think I'm pretty sure if Chicago wins this game, they're in.
Yeah,
I could be wrong.
And they've got a nice point differential.
I'm looking at
I think if Chicago wins, I think if Chicago wins, they're in. They'd be 3-1. Boston would fall to 2-2, and then we'd have to see where the point differential is. And I guess we kind of didn't talk about that, but I guess we didn't mention the reason why this is so big for the Pistons. Also, I know I'm going backwards here, but they're 2-0. So if they win, then another one, then got the Magic win, and they're just kind of on cruise control. But we'll talk about that later. But yeah, big game for both teams. Both teams 2-1. If nothing else, Stevie, this game, if it's competitive, these players are going to be on the floor. They're not.
Oh yeah, this is a playoff game for both teams.
Yeah. Yeah, and the point differential is only one between them, 15 and 14.
Yeah.
So it's game. Not like the Bulls are, have some big gap here. My question is, with Porzingis back, and I don't think we feel like he's going to play 35 minutes. I still don't think they run Porzingis 35 minutes, Steve. I think he's the one guy that should have a cap. I would say,
oh yeah,
he plays 30 minutes max. That's absolute max in my book. Man, how do we not play Jaylen Brown here at 8K? Because I do feel like Porzingis being back is going to limit him, Brown and Tatum, but I think it limits Tatum more than Brown because of their prices. And then Drew Holiday, Derek White, those guys, they're just peripheral guys anyway. They're extensions of the team. They're not the primary guys. So I may not play them. But I think, as much as I hate to say it, I feel like I play Jaylen Brown over anyone in this game for the Boston side.
Chicago gives up a ton of threes. Derek White could have a stellar game today. Flying. I don't even know if it necessarily would be flying under the radar as bad as the Chicago defense has been.
Yeah.
I just think a lot of people are going to gravitate to Tatum and Brown, and I agree. I gravitate to those two as well. But you remember Derek White in the playoffs last year? Playoff Derek White.
Do we just play Porzingis at 7,500 in the field?
I don't think so. I don't want to play Porzingis. He had 3 stocks in that game against Clippers the other night. We can't count on that every time. His ceiling's capped. He's not going to play 35 minutes.
Yeah, if he plays 35 minutes tomorrow, I'd be shocked.
Yeah. I'd be shocked too.
If this game goes to overtime, I don't think he plays a minute of overtime unless they've limited him early, saying, hey, game feels tight. We're going to sit you on the bench and see where this goes. Why don't you just come hang out with us? And if he's at 20 minutes going into the fourth, I think they hold him as long as they can to see what's happening. And then if it's tight, the last 2 minutes, I think they play him and then if they go to overtime, they unleash him. But I don't think Porzingis is playing big minutes. They got bigger plans for him than just the cup, you know.
I mean, at the end of the day, Boston Celtics are 15-3. You know, the East goes through Boston or Cleveland, right? Like at the end of the day. So the NBA Cup matters.
Yeah.
But they're not they don't need Porzingis to play 35 minutes in this game to have a chance to win. I mean, they're a 10-point favorite for a reason. Chicago could have a huge upset win here. We're watching this news, Will, because Kobe White potentially being out with a wrist sprain. Watched it happen. Did not look pleasant. Terry, Jalen Smith. Watch all this news because we have options here. You know, I think like if White was out, we're looking at Levine and Giddey. Vooch is the guy that I don't think I get to in this spot. I'd rather play Bam at basically the same price. I like Levine and Giddey, and I like Desamu if White sits. That's where I would be going, is just play the high-usage guards in a game that matters a lot.
Yep. Stevie, guess what? I don't have anything else to add. I think that was going to be my approach. Talk about AO, talk about Giddey, talk about Levine. So that's where I am. I'm absolutely good with those options. Like, those are the options.
Yeah, and like if with Williams out, if White sits, if like Terry gets ruled out, you could play Bazulis. He played 25 minutes against the Magic the other night, and I mean they had him out there. He just missed a lot of shots. He got in some foul trouble, but he's another guy you could potentially take a shot on. I like some of that value we were talking about earlier in the slate more, but he's an option.
Yeah.
All right, we got Thunder and Lakers, 230 total. Lakers a 1-point favorite in this game. Another really awesome basketball game. On the Thunder side, Caruso is out. Holmgren remains out. Topic and Jalen Williams remain out. On the Lakers side, Bronny James, it gets me every time I look at the injury report. Every time I look at the injury report, I'm like, oh, LeBron's out. And then I realize that it's Bronny. Bronny's out. It's just to tell you guys that it gets me every time. Jackson Hayes is doubtful. Vanderbilt and Wood remain out. Looking at this game as far as like the NBA Cup is concerned, everyone in Group B has one loss in the Western side. So everyone in this group has a loss. Matters a lot as far as like the Thunder winning this game basically eliminates the Lakers. You're not going to get in with two losses and a -16 differential. So huge game here. Another really like stellar basketball game. Who do we like here for the Thunder?
So, Stevie, here's what's interesting to me about the Thunder. Isaiah Hartenstein gets healthy, walks into the gym, starts playing basketball with this team, and just, I mean, pretty much 40 fantasy points every time. Now, he's 39.5 against Golden State, 38.5 against Sacramento, over 40 against Portland. But my point is, at this role he has with the team caught me off guard, Steve. He's playing 30-plus minutes with this team. I excuse me, I didn't quite expect that. But so I'm expecting him to have a tough time with AD. But man, he's been very productive. SGA obviously at 10-7. I don't think a lot of people want to play him, but he's the right play, man. He's been so good with some of these main guys out like Chet Holmgren. And so, I think it's him and Hartenstein for me.
Yeah, Hartenstein might not be expensive enough for his current role with this team, And in a game where they need size, they're not getting a lot of size out of these other guys. So I think Hartenstein is a really solid play. Jalen Williams is a guy that I don't mind ceiling-wise, but I think SGA is your high ceiling, 70-plus point fantasy guy that you play chasing the ceiling here. So I have a lot of interest in SGA and Hartenstein. I don't think I want to play like the secondary pieces here of like Dort and Joe, especially with Joe being back. I really think it's the spot I want to play Hartenstein or SGA, and I don't think I end up playing a lot of teams. But if I was MMEing, I would definitely get some Jalen Williams, just because his ceiling is there. Lakers side, I mean, this is a spot you expect Anthony Davis or LeBron to step up here. What do you like here for the Lakers?
Yeah, definitely like those guys. Stevie, what if I told you D'Angelo Russell is 4,400 in the year of 2024 playing for the Lakers? Back-to-back games, in the mid to upper 20s, and has been productive. I think this is a good spot for him in terms of his price, Stevie. So I'm not saying he's about to come and obliterate the slate, but I am saying at this price, he's another 4K guy to add to the pool, Stephen. I think he's a strong option for us today. Give me LeBron, give me AD. We don't have to reinvent the wheel with this team.
That price is silly on
D'Angelo
Russell, right?
It's 4,400.
We know this.
Come on.
We know the ceiling that this guy. Yeah, we know the ceiling that this guy is capable of, and he won't stop shooting if he gets hot. Yeah. I mean, I initially missed that price, so I'm so glad that you brought him up because I initially missed that price, really. And that price is silly.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. We finish our slate. Sacramento at Portland, 222 total. Kings a 4-point favorite in this game. DeMar DeRozan out. Trey Lyles out for the Kings. And then on the Portland side, Klingman is out. Grant is doubtful. Murray's questionable. Tyball's out. Robert Williams is doubtful in the concussion protocol. Still looking at this game from an NBA Cup perspective, the Kings have 2 losses, really bad point differential. They're probably out of it. Portland only has 1 loss, so they're still alive. So, and their point differential is pretty bad. So, I mean, Portland would have to win this game by a lot. I mean, this game is going to be fast-paced, fun. We'll just call it that. Let's go to the Sacramento side here first, Will. What do you like here for the Kings?
So many options in terms of guards in this game, Stevie. Like, when's the last time Kevin Huerter's been 6K? Somebody let me know. Well, he's 6K today because we know DeRozan's going to be out. But Malik Monk at 5,400, I think is a great play. Also, he's coming off of a big game. Give me Keegan Murray, give me Sabonis, give me Fox, give me Monk. Those are my main pieces that I'm going to be targeting.
I want to play a bunch of this game in general, so I will have exposure to a lot of pieces in this game. But the one guy that really was standing out to me when I was doing my look through here, Malik Monk at 5,400. I think that price tag is really fair for him in this game. I think De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis both have a lot of upside in this game. They're both very consistent with their production. So I don't mind getting Fox or Sabonis or Monk in this one. Portland, with Grant doubtful, Advia at 5,300 in a game that they need to win. Probably one of the top value plays, point per dollar on the slate. Absolutely love this spot for him. Simons, he had a really, really good game the other night. DeAndre Ayton returned after missing, 15 or 16 days and played 34 minutes. So I think Portland's they're underpriced in general. If you look at the whole Portland team, they're underpriced. The whole team is underpriced. Ayton, Simons, Advia, those would be my 3 favorite. What do you like here for Portland? Oh, we had to get a Thanksgiving mute. I thought you were going to do it. I thought you were going to get through the whole show.
Almost. You mentioned Avdia, man, at 5,300. If they're going to continue to give him these types of minutes, Steve, in terms of heavy minutes, I mean, he's one of the best plays on the slate. Jeremy Grant doubtful. Like, we got to think Avdia is going to pick up 30-plus minutes here easily, right, Stevie? Like, I don't even think there's a question about it. And he would probably be my favorite play here from the slate. I just think it's a good spot for him. Give me him. Give me Ayton. Give me Simons at 6,100, who's also probably a little bit too cheap.
Give me a Tyreek touchdown. That's what I need right now. A-Chain almost got it. A-Chain got it down to like the 1. I'm like, man, I'm sweating a Tyreek touchdown. I think we're gonna get another A-Chain touchdown, but man, it'd be great to get a Tyreek touchdown. Derek in chat, I'm thankful for Chief mutes.
Yeah,
what a great way to end the
Tyreek is picking up his production. I think he's got at least 4 catches for 40-something yards now. That was better than earlier in the game.
Yeah, but only like 2 people in front of me have Tyreek, so I'm like, this would be a great time for him to, jump like everybody basically. So he's not even in the game. I need like a false start call or something. I'm a Dolphins fan, so I'm definitely rooting for a win, but I would love the win to come behind Tyreek getting a couple touchdowns here. All right, morning grind game. Enough Tyreek talk, and hopefully we'll play the morning grind game and he'll score a touchdown as we're playing the game. But favorite play under 5K to go 7X. Who do you like here that's cheap?
Pretty easy. We just talked about it. Give me D'Angelo Russell at 4,400.
Yeah, the price is really, 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 really silly. I completely understand. I'm gonna go to Brooklyn. We talked about this the first game we talked about. Give me Tyrese Martin at 3K for Brooklyn here with all these guys out. I like Martin a lot.
Yep.
I know they expect him to do what he did last game, but he's 3K. If he could get like 25 fantasy points, that'd be awesome.
Yep.
Over 8K to go under 5X. Who's your bust today?
Give me James Harden at 9,200 against the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Yeah, I mean, I think all of these guys potentially get there. I think there's a lot of good plays. I know this game matters a lot, and I love this game. I don't think this is a Vooch spot, so I'm struggling with Vooch here. Tua getting sacked right there tilts me so much. Yeah. Favorite 6X play, Will. Sorry, I got distracted by Tua getting sacked on 4th down.
Oh man, it's all good. It's no problem. We're all good here. In terms of 6X, there's so many options, Stevie.
A lot of good plays today.
It's so many options, man. Give me Denny Avdia from Portland at 5,300.
Funny, I'm going to go to the same game, same team. DeAndre Ayton, 6,600. Just underpriced. The fact that he came back and played 34 minutes, and this game matters for them. Give me DeAndre Ayton to have a good game here. Who do you think has the highest ceiling on the slate? Who is your top ceiling GPP play of the day?
It's tough, man, but give me Malik Monk without DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah. You think Malik Monk has the highest ceiling on this slate, or is he your let's get weird GPP play today? Okay. You threw me off.
Yeah.
Threw me off.
Give me AD, man.
All right.
AD against OKC.
That matters. Yeah, it threw me off. You threw me off. You threw I threw a 12-6 curveball. You threw a 12 to ground curveball. I'm gonna go to one of these. I'm going to go to one of these games that matters a lot. And I mean, I talked about Jaylen Brown. I could see him getting hot in this game. Give me Jaylen Brown at 8K. I mean, he's very capable of 60-plus point games. Tatum is the other guy that I really like. I'm going to play one of those guys. I hope I can fit in Tatum. I just don't know if I'll fit him in at the price. Who's your Let's Get Weird GPP play? I wonder if it's Malik Monk.
Give me Malik Monk from the
All right, I like
Kings. That one. No DeRozan. I think this is a spot where he's able to get off here.
You talked about this guy earlier in the show. I had already written this down, and I was worried that you were going to mention him. as your Let's Get Weird GPP play, but you didn't. So I'm going to go Jalen Suggs for Orlando.
Yeah.
I'm really worried about the ankle for Franz Wagner. I know he's not on the injury report. He probably plays through it. Orlando has to win this game. They don't have to win this game, but they're in a really good spot. It would come down to when they played the Knicks potentially. So give me Jalen Suggs at 6,500, over 45 fantasy points in 2 of his last 3 games. So like the upside for Suggs here in a game that matters. Any bets that you like on this slate?
Give me the Kings -4. They're between 4 and 4.5. Give me Kings -4 against the Trailblazers. I think they're the better team straight up.
Yeah, I don't mind that one at all. I definitely see that. I already bet this. I bet this like an hour ago. Derek White over 15.5 points. We talked a lot about Boston and how this game matters. This is a game where I just feel like Derek White scores, and I mean he's hit this prop in 4 of his last 5 games, and now he gets a matchup with Chicago. Worry a little bit about the blowout, but it's kind of baked into the 15.5 point like spread. I mean, this is why is it? It seems low. Like I know it probably is right on. It just seems low. So when I was looking at the slate, I was like, man, I'm betting this. So I instantly bet that one earlier today. So I say earlier today, I bet it like an hour ago. So
yeah.
Any player props you like, or we done for the day?
Give me Scotty Barnes less than 20.5 points. I know he's got upside, but he's faced the Miami Heat, and Miami's they've shown the ability to just kind of limit scoring this season. And while Scotty Barnes, once again, does have upside, he's going to have some games where he scores 15, 16. Typically, if he's going over 20, he's taking a lot of shots and has kind of been real active. And I think Miami's going to be able to limit himself. So give me Scotty Barnes less than 20.5 points.
All right. Solid enough. That's going to wrap it up for Friday. We're back Monday talking hoops. Broke down the NFL slate yesterday on the podcast. You can go check that out. Did a solo NFL breakdown with Noto traveling for the holidays. Appreciate Will hanging out with us here on Thanksgiving night. Appreciate everyone listening, and we'll be back Monday. Have a fantastic weekend.